Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Motivation Mondays. Sorry I've been running a little late. Yesterday's been busy. I work at Walmart, so the holidays are crazy. Anyway, guys, it's your boy. Back at it. Just got out of the gym. Been thinking about this for a long time, It's one of those things. I went into this YouTube channel thinking about motivating people. How can I motivate people? I was like, well, in my mind, a 30-something handicapped man who's been lifting weights for over 20 years and overcoming impossible odds, maybe that's motivating. Maybe that'll help people get motivated to do whatever it is they want to do. And so far I've had a really good time. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of subscribers right now, but it's not been very long either. It's like the people who do watch my videos and thumb up and everything else, they seem to legitimately enjoy what I'm doing. Nobody's really given me any input on what to do next, etc. They've just been letting it happen. And YouTube algorithms and all that stuff. But today is going to be another P.S.A, I guess you could say, albeit a serious one, not, poor lost mixer cups. Today I want to talk about mental health, because mental health is important, and usually people who suffer from poor mental health lack motivation and just can't get the bearings to be motivated because they just feel like nothing is worth it. And what can I say? We've all been there to varying degrees, I've went through several points in my life where I felt like all hope was lost. Like I could name a dozen right off the top of my head. As a man who was born with a, debilitating birth defect, especially for most individuals. I have scoliosis, I have spina bifida, and various other things. Not to the same degree that most people who have my detriment have it. I have two cousins, a pretty good friend, and another acquaintance who all have the same disability that I have. And while they can all get around fairly well because they're used to it, none of them were lucky to have gotten as far as I have. They all have to have way more support and assistance, as it were, to get around, whether it be crutches or a motorized wheelchair to shop, or absolutely no use of their legs whatsoever, or have to be catheterized while they sleep because they just don't have the capability to quickly get out of bed and get to the restroom. I don't have those problems. Yes, walking is way more difficult for me than it is a typical human being. While at work I do use a shopping cart to get around, or sometimes have to use a cane to get around when me and the family go out, but on a normal basis, and up to about 2 years ago, I didn't do any of that. All the way up until I was about 35 years old, I was fine. I would go out with friends, I would go out with my family, and I would go. Didn't need no assistance walking. Yes, I took my falls. It was just everyday life to me. It's like, you just get back up, you pick yourself up, and you go. But to continue on topic, there are kids that inherit leukemia. We're talking small children who haven't had the chance to do near the amount of things that I've had the opportunity to do. I've got to travel, I've got to go to concerts, I've got to live the life that most normal kids do, sad to say it, but I started doing the things that teenagers do. I've tried out recreational drugs. I've drank, I've partied, I've done stupid stuff just for the fun of it. Like me and my cousin, bless his soul, gone now, just decided one day that we're going to be stupid and he's going to jump on the hood of my car and we're going to do donuts at top speed in a school parking lot in the middle of town. Stuff like that, things that adults my age or older would just shake their heads at. Looking back, yeah, was it stupid? Absolutely. Do I regret it? Absolutely not. I'm still alive. At that point in time, he was still alive. We didn't die. We had a good time. You have to have fun. You can't take things for granted. Moving on, though. Enough about me. It's about everybody in general. I have a couple of friends, names won't be said, that, despite the fact that they were born normal, physiologically, they're going through a rough time. And there are a lot of people in the world, you guys included, go through rough times. Physically, mentally, the one that gets most people is the mental. And some people might watch this video and say, you couldn't possibly understand. Well, that's where you're wrong. Teenagers growing up, oh, you don't understand. I've been there. I was a teenager. At the age of 13, 14 years old, I went through a surgery on my hip to correct it, and my leg below the knee, that put me in a hospital bed in a body cast for 6 months or better. And I just remember laying in that bed thinking, why? Why me? Why did this have to happen to me? I literally laid and withered in that bed for months. Had to be homeschooled. I got to graduate early because of it, but it was the worst 6 months at that at that point in time of my life. And they had done that surgery once before, or at least they attempted it. And I died. I was beyond dead because I became highly allergic to something and I went into anaphylactic shock and I died on the operating table. So the same surgery a year or two prior, I went kaput and they had to bring me back. So I went 2 more years not having that same surgery. But a year after I went kaput or less, I had spinal fusion, posterior spinal fusion. I healed from that fine. Within 3 months, I was walking again, doing everything a kid should be doing. But, things that normal teenage boys think about, it's like, oh, I'm worthless. I've been there too. It's like I didn't have many friends growing up except my cousins and my brothers. Because I was different, kids are cruel, but they don't think about things, not all of them. It's not until you get to a certain age that you realize things and how hurtful words can be. But with that being said, how does one endure? Well, be a friend. One endures usually with help. And I have lost a lot of friends to suicide. And I'm not going to go into it, but it's a very, very detrimental thing, and one that a lot of people do not overcome themselves. But, don't be afraid to talk to a friend. And people, don't forget your friends. You could be surprised, or you would be surprised, how very little effort would make such a huge difference on the mental stability of a single person. That's all it takes sometimes, just being there, letting them know that you're thinking about them. And I myself don't do this as much as I should. Life gets crazy. It's like we all have to work, we all have families to raise. But when you get into those dark places, like, what did I do with my life? It's like, I think that all the time, but then I look back. It's like, if you have children or friends or brothers or sisters that look up to you, family that loves you, you have something to live for. It's not bleak, it's not hopeless, despite what it may seem. There are people out there that care about you, that love you, that hold you in such high regards, regardless of what you may think. Even if they don't say it. You know, that I think about this now as I'm telling you guys, and I think to myself, like, man, I really need to talk to these people that I have not talked to in so long. They probably think that I hate them, which is not the case. You know, it's just, we all struggle. I struggle. You guys struggle, I'm sure. Some more than others. But don't let that be your downfall. Because somewhere out there, some poor soul has it way worse than us. Go back to those children that are sitting in places like St. Jude's who don't know anything outside of the hospital walls. They can't go anywhere. They can't do anything besides what the hospital allows them to do. Some of them can barely move, and those children take nothing for granted. They live life like it's their last day, because sometimes it could be. And here we are. I take things for granted all the time, guys. I'm not perfect. Not even close. Physically, mentally, I'm not where I want to be in life, but I take a look at the things that I do have. My wife, my kid, the other kids that we've helped raise. You know, I call them my kids. Love them all dearly. And life is great when you think about it. It's like, I've got all these kids that just look up to me and my wife, and it's like, man, the good that we have done outweighs the negatives. You know, it's like, and I've definitely made my mistakes in life. We all have. You cannot live in regret and hope to move forward with anything. So, hopefully, guys, you let this motivate you to move past all the negatives. Put your mind to something. It doesn't matter if it's fitness, if it's work, if it's family, art. It doesn't matter. Playing the guitar. I could name a gajillion things, and that's not even a real number. I could name so many things that you could put your mind to. If it's a passion that you want to pursue, do it. Don't make it the forefront past your loved ones, but hopefully they support you in what you want to do, your endeavors. You know, let's be supportive of each other. Let's not be like, oh, that's a waste of time. You have to try. It's one of those things you don't know until you try. There's no point in not attempting something, because the human mind and the human body are such amazing mechanisms. We can do so much. And even if you think you can't, if you just practice and practice and train yourself, you will eventually accomplish what you want to accomplish. You know, I mean, within reason. Obviously, I can't jump. I don't have hip on my right side, so, you know, that's not something that I'm going to try, you know, but I can do things that doctors thought I couldn't do for the longest time, and I'm running with it. I'm not going to stop working out until I'm just kaput, you know. I'm not going to stop fending for my family and doing the things I need to do to provide for them. And hopefully, you know, this takes off and it becomes a little easier. But until that comes, I'm going to do what I need to do for us to live and survive. And with that, guys, I think I've rambled on enough about that. So don't take mental health for granted for yourself or for people you care about. Be kind. And with that, I'm going to leave you guys. I think I've rambled on, made quite a long video. Probably not going to edit this very much. I think I've pretty much covered everything I wanted to cover for this episode. So if you guys liked it, leave a like, share it, subscribe, please. Please, guys. Mental health, please subscribe. But anyway, guys, we're going to get to some special things when it comes to working out soon. I've got some different programs I want to show you guys for hypertrophy, and eventually going to get back into the strength game. So I will see you guys next week. I've got a couple of things already ready to go, so hopefully no more snags, etc., etc. You guys take care of yourselves, and I will see you next week.